You ever notice how some people laugh at things that really shouldn't be funny? Not awkward laughs, not nervous laughs, but that calm, almost amused smile when life throws something objectively awful at them. Yeah, that's not optimism. That's experience. Because when you've lived through real chaos, everyday problems stop feeling personal. Someone yells at them, cuts them off in traffic, ghosts them. They don't explode. They zoom out. Their brain immediately starts asking questions most people never think to ask. What broke you before today? What pain are you dragging behind you? What did I survive that makes this moment small? That's the first thing people misunderstand. Their calm isn't weakness. It's calibration. See, trauma doesn't just hurt you, it reprograms you. It forces your nervous system to evolve faster than everyone else's. Their brain doesn't live in the present the way yours does. It lives slightly ahead of time. Scanning, predicting, preparing, not because they want to, but because at some point being unprepared was dangerous. So their mind became a survival machine. And here's the part no one talks about. That survival system doesn't shut off when the danger ends. It just learns new environments. They walk into rooms and don't notice decor. They notice energy, tone shifts, micro-expressions, silences that feel heavier than words. They don't hear conversations. They read them. That's why they can tell something's wrong with you before you say a single word. Why they notice the pause before your reply. Why they remember the exact sentence where your voice changed. They had to learn this language to survive. And oddly enough, it makes them deeply kind. Not soft, not naive, but surgical with empathy. They know exactly how pain hides, because they've hidden it themselves. You'd think people like this would become bitter, closed off, cold. But most don't. Most become painfully human. They appreciate small things with embarrassing intensity. A quiet morning, a safe laugh, a sunset that feels like permission to breathe. Because when you've lived in survival mode, peace feels holy. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. Roughly half of people who experience deep trauma don't just recover, they restructure. They don't go back to who they were. They become someone else entirely. Stronger values, clearer priorities, lower tolerance for nonsense, higher capacity for depth, but there's a cost. Their nervous system never fully believes it's safe. That's why they sit facing the door. Why they have backup plans for backup plans. Why their body reacts before their mind catches up. It's not paranoia. It's memory. Their body remembers what their mouth never talks about. And here's the quietest part of all. They minimize what they went through. Oh, it wasn't that bad. I'm fine. Other people had it worse. Not because it didn't hurt, but because surviving required pretending it didn't. They developed an allergy to being seen as weak, an instinct to downplay pain before anyone can question their strength. So asking for help feels unnatural, almost dangerous. Now let's talk about relationships. People who've been through too much love differently. They'll give you loyalty most people don't even understand. They'll show up at 3 a.m. without asking why. They'll protect you instinctively, but ask them to need you? Ask them to depend on you? Suddenly, distance, because closeness used to come with consequences. And their nervous system never forgot that lesson. They want connection, but they're terrified of attachment, so they master independence, which looks powerful, until you realize how lonely it is. And yet, these are the people who adapt the fastest. New city, new job, life imploding unexpectedly. They adjust, because they already learned how to rebuild themselves from scratch. And the humor, the dark humor, that's not insensitivity, that's alchemy. They learned how to turn pain into something lighter, something survivable. Every joke is defiance. Every laugh is control reclaimed. But beneath all of this strength, there's grief. Not grief for a person. Grief for a version of themselves that never got to exist safely. The self that trusted easily. The self that didn't rehearse conversations. The self that didn't scan rooms for danger. The self that felt light. They mourn a childhood they survived instead of lived. A softness they had to trade for awareness. And that grief never disappears. It matures. It turns into boundaries, into discernment, into an almost sacred respect for peace. That's why they cherish calm, why they choose safe people carefully, why chaos feels expensive to them. And maybe that's the real psychology here. People who've been through too much don't just survive. They become interpreters of the human condition. They understand contradictions. That life can be brutal and beautiful in the same moment. That strength and tenderness can coexist, that you can carry scars without bleeding everywhere. They don't shine because they're flawless. They shine because they learned how to navigate darkness, like a lighthouse, not untouched by storms, but built because of them. So if this hit a little too close to home, you're not broken, you're trained. And if you want more deep dives like this, subscribe. If you want to support this work and help keep these conversations alive, hit the join button. I'll see you in the next one.